specialty soaps. As many of you know, I too like to watch YouTube, so obviously I have some favorite YouTubers. One of which is Zoe Sugg, and Zoe Sugg, aka Zoella, just launched an entirely new range of products called Zoella Lifestyle. And I was so inspired after watching her apartment tour. I'll leave a link to her video down below and also up here in the little info square, that I decided to make a soap inspired by her new collection. So it's got the gray and white sort of marbled look, and then I have a pinky kind of top. I know she kind of had a more rose gold, almost coral. It's a very, very unique color that she used as her like sort of accent to the gray and the white marble. It's very, very hard to replicate, but I wasn't going to replicate it anyway. I wanted to do my own creative spin, so I put pink on top, and then I did sort of a little coppery soap ball. And yes, this is 100% soap. So if you'd like to see me make it, you can just keep on watching. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is make the soap base. So that's the bottom part, and the part that's going to look sort of marbly. So here in this bucket, I have my oils, which consist of organic and sustainably harvested palm oil, olive oil, coconut oil, sweet almond oil, and castor oil. And then I have my water here that is mixed with sodium hydroxide, aka lye, and I have all of my hands covered, my little fingers, and I have my eye protection on, so I am ready to start mixing this up. They are within 10 degrees of each other. It's about 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to pour this down the stick blender here, very, very slowly, trying to avoid getting air bubbles in there, if at all possible. Now that all that's in there, I'm setting the container off to the side, and I'm going to mix this on low. Now it's still pretty runny, but I'm going to go ahead and take the stick blender out because I'm going to be adding colorants, and I still have to add fragrance oil, so there's plenty of time for me to mix that up some more, and I don't want it to get too thick. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and now I am going to pour 2 little measuring cups, and this is what is going to be the gray. So I'm going to pour it just like this, not too much. Okay, so just about this much in each container. I'm already making a mess all over my table. And then I'm going to split this also, which I almost never do, but I would like this batch to be a little more precise. So it's not going to be a perfect split, but it is going to be close. Try to get all these little drops off, and again, my hands are protected with gloves. These are just disposable latex gloves that I'm wearing. Okay, so let's start adding the color. I'm going to start with the gray because that is probably going to take a little while to get perfect. And I'm using the dark steel gray from Nurture Soap Supply, and I'm putting in about ½ a teaspoon. We're gonna see what that looks like. Gonna kind of shake my stick blender around, get all the bubbles out. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this up real quick. Wow, that's actually really close to exactly the color that I wanted. Maybe this won't be as hard as I thought. So that's almost perfect, but I do want to add just a little bit of titanium dioxide mixed with water, and that's just going to lighten it up just a teeny tiny bit. Awesome, so our grays are mixed up. That's like the perfect gray color, I think. Now I'm going to add, I think a teaspoon. We'll start with a teaspoon into each container here and see what that looks like. Okay, so I ended up having to add like 4 teaspoons to get the color I wanted. Now that I have added all of the color, we're going to add the fragrance oil. So this fragrance oil is from Brambleberry. It's their Energy fragrance oil, and it smells exactly like gummy sweet tarts. I was really selective with the fragrance oil I picked. I wanted to make sure that it was true to form, and since I've smelled some of the Zoella beauty products, and in fact own a few, I thought this would be something that Zoella herself would approve of. So I'm going to mix this first with the stick blender, just like this. And I'm not going to turn it on or anything. I'm just going to swirl it around. Then I'm going to blend on low. just to make sure that that fragrance oil is good and incorporated. Now I'm going to mix up the gray in the same fashion. So I'm going to pour one loaf at a time, and I'll just show you the first one, that way we're not getting repetitive. So I'm not going to mix these guys up yet, I'm just going to set them off to the side. And here's how I'm going to mix it. I'm not going to stir anything. I'm just going to pour the gray into one side like this, and then I'm going to pour the other half into the other side. No mixing, no nothing, just pouring it in. Then I'm not going to scrape this second bowl, I'm going to leave that for the top. So let's pour into the mold. Here are my two molds. They are from Nurture Soap Supply. So I'm just going to take my container here, and I'm going to start pouring just like this. This is going to create a very marbled look, but all of the gray is still going to be clearly defined from the white because I didn't mix it. Had I mixed it up, it would probably be less noticeable and less defined, and I didn't want that at all. Awesome, just like that, one quick, easy pour. I've poured the second loaf of soap now, and before I move on to the piping, I decided to put a little extra something on here. So, here is the raw soap, just like this, and then I have what is like a little tea strainer here, and I'm going to fill it with some mica that I have mixed. Now I've mixed Aztec Gold, that's from TKB Trading, and I have mixed some Sahara Gold from Nurture Soap Supplies. And I'm going to gently tap this all down the soap. And hopefully this will create sort of a coppery looking mica line. After I have finished putting all of the mica on, this is what it looks like. And I'm just going to take my soap sponge here and wipe up the edges. You don't want to have anything on the edges, otherwise it'll stick to the piping and it just won't look as good. Having a dedicated soap sponge is a super helpful thing. Okay, now we're going to move on to the piping. Okay, so using my Royalty Soaps piping set that's available at Nurture Soap Supplies, I am going to be using one of the larger couplers in my piping bag, and my piping has just set up to the point where it is pipeable. It's still a little bit runny, but I just chose to go ahead and work with it anyway. Also, lots of people were asking me in my last video, whatever happened to the cat? So, the cat, I gave some cat food, and then I had to let him go. He probably belonged to somebody else. He scampered right away after I opened up the door and let him out, so it wasn't like he was in a huge rush, but he saw some other cat friends downstairs, and I think he was just being friendly and visiting me. Probably knew that I just wanted to hold a cat or something. Cats can be very nice. They can also be very mean, but that one was acting very nice. So as far as purchasing these bars go, you can purchase them in my Etsy shop on October 15th. October 15th is when I will put them in the Etsy shop. Cold processed soap has to sit 4 to 6 weeks to cure, which means that it lets out all of the water from, well, not all of it, but it lets out some of the water, and it makes the bar harder and lasts longer for you in the shower. So it's actually beneficial for you to let it sit with me for a little while. Now I'm just going to fill up these little holes with some more piping. These bars are going to be so big, you guys. I added like 10 extra ounces of oil to this batch just because I wanted them to be a little bigger, but I don't think I quite realized just how huge they were going to be. So these are going to be huge bars of soaps. I would definitely recommend, if you get one, probably cutting it in half and using it for your bathtub and your sink, or just for like 2 different bathrooms or something, because they're just going to be so large. Gotta get the last bit of pink on here. Then we will move on to piping that bit of white and putting on the soap gumball embeds and putting on the glitter. I love glitter. Okay, glitter, shimmery, sparkly stuff first. I'm going to put on some glitter I have here from TKB Trading. It's really gorgeous. This looks like snow almost. This will be used for a lot of my winter soaps, I can assure you. Now for some microfine cosmetic grade glitter. This is also from TKB. It is also super, super sparkly. Sparkly with an M. It's sparkly, sparkly. Oh, for the little dollop of white on each bar. So I'm just gonna start over here, and I'm just gonna kind of fill up the middle area, just like this. This is just so the soap gumball embed really stands out. So I have to let this sit in the mold for 24 to 48 hours. I leave all of my soaps uncovered because they don't need to be covered. Some soaps do, or at least do better when they are, but mine don't matter at all. It doesn't change a bit to have them uncovered. So for toppers, these are also made out of soap, just a different type of soap. I have these pretty sort of coppery colored soap gumballs. These are so lovely. It actually took a really long time for me to get the color that I wanted here. I'm just going to continue to place these in the proper spot so that when I cut them, none of them get cut. And my soap cutter is 18 bars, for those of y'all who don't know, so it would actually be really easy to cut these wrong. I know I've been doing a lot of explaining in this video, but I thought because this is inspired by Zoella, it might, you know, kind of attract a lot of people who've maybe never heard of soap making before, so I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew exactly what was going on. Sort of understand the process a little bit. It's really fun to do. It's a really cool hobby, and then you can turn it into a business if you want, and there are tons of super, super helpful companies and websites that could get you started if you were interested in making anything like this. Of course, it might not look exactly like this the first time you try, but with practice makes perfect. Yeah, I think I'm gonna start a series for YouTubers. I think that would be fun. I really like, let's see, some of my favorite YouTubers. I really like the Michelacs, and I really like Tanya Burr and Jim Chapman. I think they're really, really sweet. And of course, Zoella. I've also kind of started to watch Naomi Smart. And I like Absolute Nails. I think her nail creations are really, really cool. I like to watch lots of bakery ones too. So I like Rosie's Dessert Spot, and I like Nerdy Nummies, and I like Aspen Ovard and her blogging with her husband. That makes me feel good. Like, oh look, another young married couple with a business. So yeah, those are my favorites. You should let me know some of yours down below. Oh, and Brad and Haley Devine. I love them. They are so sweet. So the final thing for me to do here is to spray this with 91% rubbing alcohol, and that is just going to kind of set the soap in place, set all the glitter in place, avoid something we call soda ash, even though I like never get soda ash anyway. So really I just kind of use this to help set everything in place, and then I will be back tomorrow and we will cut up these bars. And we are back 24 hours later to cut this soap. Now, I didn't remove it from the mold as cleanly as I normally do. This one was a little more sticky, probably just because of the fragrance oil. So there's that. So I have to line this up in my 18 bar cutter here. The cutter's from Nurture Soap as well. And then I'm just going to start pressing very, very gently. Very, very, very gently, so that all of the soaps come out even and perfect. I can't wait to see the inside. I hope it looks how I want it to. Okay, so let's remove one. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so here's the sort of gray and white marble look here. And then very, very faintly, I'm sure the camera can't even pick it up, but very faintly there's a line of this coppery gold color. And then there's sort of a lighter pink after it's all cured and everything. Now, Zoella's color that she's using as like the accent color for her lifestyle stuff is more of a peach. It's more of like an orangey color, but I just decided to go with a little more pinky just for my own self. This is inspired by. This doesn't have to be exactly like. So yeah, there's the marbly swirl in the middle there, and I always love with that particular design how different every single bar is. So yeah, there's the finished soap, and it will be in my Etsy shop on October 15th. So there you go, my Zoella inspired soap. I'm definitely going to be calling this one Zoe Darling. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, maybe even leave me a comment down below, and tell me which YouTuber you would like to see me create a soap inspired by next. And until next time, I hope you have an absolutely marvelous day.